Hey, this is Carl Paul Taylor from CP Taylor Guitars here in Matthews, North Carolina. Wanted to take a few minutes today to go through our different models of guitars that we have available. If you've noticed, they are all railroad or steam locomotive based as far as the names. So I figured I'd take a few minutes and kind of explain how we got to those names and what they are. First off is our MD 1871. It's our Explorer line. Not a whole lot to this one, but the name is a tribute to the depot that was built in 1871 in the town that I actually grew up in, Milford, Michigan. The next couple of models are Flying Scotsman and our Mallard series. Were built in the 1920s and 1930s in England by London and Northeastern Railway. So the one is the Flying Scotsman. The only example I have here is not finished yet. It is going to be a burnt, whitewashed appearance. The Flying Scotsman was the first steam locomotive to ever hit 100 miles per hour. It actually did that in November of 1934. And then, fittingly, it also actually holds the longest non-stop run by a steam locomotive, and it didn't do that until 55 years later. It did 422 miles in August of 1989, so it was definitely a workhorse. The Mallard series, have a couple examples here. Have a copper 7-string, have one of our KR series, have a special edition that I'm actually making for myself. That was a tabletop that my grandpa Taylor had made when I was a kid. The Mallard series is obviously Super Strat style. Inspired by guitars from the mid to late 1980s, like a Charvel. The Mallard set the world speed record for steam locomotives at 126 miles per hour back in England in 1938. And then a special note on the KR series. It's not limited to the Mallard series, but those are going to be the ones that feature either wood burned on the body on the top, or are going to be the burnt ones that are like whitewashed or whatever, like on that V over there. So that's the KR series. Switching gears a little bit, the next one is our bass line. It's the Big Boy bass. Fittingly, it's named after the longest and heaviest steam locomotive that ever built. It was the Union Pacific Big Boy 4014. It was over 85 feet in length and weighed over 762,000 pounds, whereas the Flying Scotsman and the Mallard are made for speed. The Big Boy bass is obviously not. It tops out at 85 miles per hour, but it's a nice consistent workhorse laying down a nice steady beat. And then finally, the last one I wanted to talk about was our Bickford Railroad line, Tellys. I have a couple here. Those specifically, well, so the railroad itself is in Pennsylvania, or it was. It was only 17.4 miles. It was between Brady Township and Curwensville, and it was actually named after a little junction just outside of Curwensville. The last time that it was used was 1954. The reason that I picked this specific one, even though it's no longer there, is when I was somewhere between 10 and 15 years old. Well, go back a little bit further. So my grandparents actually had land in Pennsylvania when I was a kid, even though I was in Michigan. My grandpa was from Pennsylvania. He always wanted to retire there, so they had about 25 acres, and obviously some land there. and he had a good friend that was down the street that kind of took care of the place when they weren't there. Um, Fred used to take us to some really cool places, and one of the places he took us one day was the Bickford Railroad. So there's like 6 or 7 of us in a pickup truck with the uh, top on the back, and we're going down this dirt 2-track road, and it's weaving up and down the mountain, and there's no guardrails. And we get to the bottom, there's this old railroad tracks. It was all grass, obviously, and you can see where the line used to be, and there was a row of the foundations of old houses that were actually still there as well. So I thought I would pay tribute to that, to my grandpa on that one. So anyways, that's our Bickford Railroad line, and those are the MD 1871, the Flying Scotsman, the Mallard, the Big Boy Base, and then the Bickford Railroad. So I thought I'd just go ahead and kind of spend a few minutes and give you guys a history of our guitar lines and how we came to those names. Anyways, thank you and have a great day.